Untamed truth. Feeling your sensuous touch as gentle kisses in the wind. Hearing your soft, sensitive voice in the sublime dimensions. Raining down are tears from the sky that paint my face with variegated hues shining through a prism. Throbbing rapidly is my heart as the blood pulsates through my veins like a rushing river to the mouth. Seeing nothing and everything simultaneously through a veil in my mind's eye. Activating my inner guidance to divine codes that lay latent within, rifting and contracting to the truth. Traveling to ancient epicenters, releasing core heat and eternal curative, rejuvenating energy trapped in precious stones, gems, and crystals. Returning to the rhythmic dance of fertility, my core primal essence, flowing into the natural music that moves my soul, unlocking passion, freedom, and the eternal peace of oneness with you.
Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Real quick, before we begin, I am super excited about the release of my first book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, a roadmap to a more intimate relationship. And this book releases March 9th. Stay tuned for more about it and other confidence-related books that I will be releasing every 3 months. And I'm going to put a link to my website in the show notes. Now on to the podcast. Thanks in advance for listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Thank you in advance for joining myself and my special guest that I am so excited to have a conversation with today. My guest is Gila Nehemia, and Gila is a divine feminine healer, writer, poet, and spiritual heart guide. She guides you to intuitively assess sacred energy in words to live a limitless life of unconditional love. Her mentoring focuses on releasing the old story and writing your new story, trusting your internal GPS, intuition, body, and heart. So welcome, Gila, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Melinda. So great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So congrats on your huge success of Surreal Love, your book of poetry. Kundalini Awakening Poetry is your subtitle. Give me all the scoop. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was 3 years in the making. I've been writing these poems for over 3 years. And, I actually wanted to publish this book a year ago, and for some reason it didn't happen. So divine timing, it all came out now. And everything was like very synchronistic, the cover, I had this video done with a friend of mine's collaboration. So yeah, it was amazing. I got new release actually for most of them, and it was still very, very, very grateful for all that happened so fast and so quickly. Really, really just grateful.
That is so cool. And just so the audience knows, she and I were in Laura DeFranco's 3-month Brave Book writing program together. So that's how we know each other. And it's just so fun to see a fellow author, writer get their book published and get it out there into the world. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful book of poetry. I was super lucky to be able to read it right away. And I've already posted a review on Amazon. I'll try to maybe clip it in the notes so people can kind of see my feedback, my review, because honestly, you're the first poetry book I've ever read.
Oh my God, I'm honored.
Ever. Except for maybe like, high school or something that I don't remember. But yeah, that's why I think it's so cool to try something new. You know what I mean? Like as someone like me who's never read a poetry book, it's like, okay, I tried something new today. I read this beautiful book of poetry and it was amazing. And that's what I kind of want to get across to people too, is maybe have the confidence to step out and try something new today in your life. So yeah, it was really cool. And you said it took 3 years to write it?
Well, actually, it was just a compilation. Usually like a lot of poetry books are collections of poems. And I started writing these poems like in 2017. And just for the audience to know, like I read poetry. I love poetry, and I was literature major, so I read a lot of poetry in school. But though I never thought I never considered myself a poet. I never really wrote a lot of poetry on my own, besides, the things that we had to do in class. And so the reason it was so, it became such a thing for me to publish this, or like this, I had this mission or this drive, was because I experienced something that was so emotional for me, that was like really opened up my heart and my soul. And there was no other outlet. And prose, like just writing, a story, wasn't even enough. And that's where I feel like art is born for anyone, whether it's like doing ceramic or even just working in the garden or just painting a beautiful, piece. It's like, there's so much emotion that we don't even know how to like connect with in the real world, like in conversation. And it just comes through us, if you know what I mean. I hope you had that experience when reading it, because that was really what was happening to me.
Yeah.
And I just actually, I was writing it, online. I published a lot of those poems on Medium, but many of them weren't, some of them were not ever seen before. But I didn't know how else to express it. And that was just, it was a great space for me to explore the possibility of actually being a poet, because just like you said, I didn't have a lot of confidence at that moment, when I first started writing, writing poetry, but I just thought, okay, I have no other way of expressing this. Let me just express it here. And it all kind of unfolded.
So it came out as poetry.
It came out as poetry, yeah, because, and this is also something I wanted to share in this, with you, because you don't normally read poetry. So usually, like when we study poetry, it's in specific structured formats. Usually poems rhyme. Each line rhymes with another, or you have the haiku, or you have a limerick, or you have there's all sorts of different types of poetry. And so why I liked what I was doing, because I was reading some of it in Medium at that time, was people weren't following any specific rules, other than the fact, that you had, there was a lot of, emotion and it was being come across in certain ways, and it was short, relatively speaking. And so I just decided, yeah, this is what I like. I want the freedom to express in the way I want to. And this medium helped me.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is so cool on so many levels. One of the things that I keep finding is, in the world of like online courses and coaching, everyone's trying to make you do exactly what perhaps they did to become successful. And that may not feel good to you, right? And that may not be your path. So I love that, the types of poetry you were talking about is probably what I learned in, 7th grade, that I can't remember now that I'm 49 years old. And you just kind of were like, this is what feels good to me. This is what is naturally coming out of my body and out of my brain, I guess you could say better, from divine. And you went with that. I think that is just beautiful. That's really, really cool.
That's why I wanted to mention it here, because especially for anyone who's listening to you that aren't, poets or don't really read poetry, are not into it, and it's not just poetry, it's anything. It's like when you find an expression, maybe you're not really, you don't consider yourself an artist, but you have this, urge to paint or to draw or whatever, do it. Because you don't know, you may not know exactly what's coming out of it, but follow the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. It's kind of like how I've been guided to have more right brain activity. So, so some days with that, guidance that I've received, some days I'm like, okay, I feel like sitting outside and coloring. Some days I feel like poking around in my yard. Some days I feel like playing my little sound bowl that my nieces got me for Christmas. Oh, nice. So yeah, it is. It's like whatever comes out of you naturally, kind of roll with that and accept it and be happy in that. I think that's really, really cool. The subtitle of your book, I'd love for you to explain that a little bit. Kundalini Awakening Poetry. Can you explain to everyone what Kundalini means?
Of course. I mean, I think people might find various definitions, but what it means to me is that so I'm in the genre of awakening, and what that I'll explain both words. So first, awakening is this you're coming out of I'll just say 3D, like three-dimensional paradigm. So meaning like just the way that we were taught to be, right? You had to go to school, then you got a job, then you got married, then you have children, and then you live this perfect life. Well, you know what? For most people, that didn't happen. Something got messed up along the way. And it was the case for me as well. I was in a marriage, and it didn't work out. There was some domestic violence involved, and anyway, he died. And then I realized, this doesn't have to be my life. I don't have to live like that. So suddenly everything opened up for me, all of the, the chakras, or all of my centers of my body were resonating with a different kind of frequency. I was just feeling like I can do a lot more by, like we talked about earlier, using my intuition and my internal guidance than following, like you said, what another person is telling me to do. So that was part of the awakening piece. And then the Kundalini is like the complete body opens up. It's like my whole story is about desire, following. That's why there's so many love poems in there, following my erotic desire with another. But that led me to loving myself and connecting to God. So, that's the Kundalini. It's like this complete, it could be a physical experience with another, but you realize the physical experience, we'll say sex, but it's not just sexuality. It's like sacred sexuality. You're opening up to a higher force that is beyond you and the other person. It's just it's all encompassing, which I feel like that's what spirituality is about. Mm-hmm. So, and these words are like pieces of that. So that's why I wanted to give that subtitle there.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And thank you for explaining it. I hadn't asked you that before. So this morning when I was just kind of prepping and getting ready, I'm like, I'm going to ask her about her subtitle. So that is very, very cool. Now, your next steps, do you see a book in your future? Do you continue to write poetry? What's your thoughts? And then, what advice do you have for someone out there that's looking to maybe start on their own spiritual journey as far as awakening?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so I plan on publishing a memoir later this year. And I do plan on continuing my poetry. I do still write poetry, so I want to do another book, though not right away, probably in a couple of years. So that's the plan. And for anyone who's starting out on their spiritual journey, I would just recommend them totally listening to themselves, listening to their body and really tuning themselves to the messages that they are receiving. Like we said earlier, because sometimes when we just are still, and this is what really helped me, probably like most people, my mind was always on I don't know what 1,000, I don't know, just really fast. Like there were so many thoughts always going on in my mind and I couldn't shut it off, create a lot of anxiety and all sorts of other things for me. But when I decided to just kind of slow down and just really be with myself, and let go of the mental chatter, that really helped me to figure out what was actually happening to me. And I would just recommend anyone who's listening to this, like we have been going through a lot of shifts, a lot of universal like forces and cosmic forces are happening like all the time now. So people may be experiencing like tiredness or, all sorts of things that may not have any kind of bodily, like, you don't have any disease, there's nothing really wrong with you, but you're just feeling all of these different feelings. So I would just recommend expressing them. Writing them down, journaling them, or painting, or, just a creative outlet will help to understand what's going on with you.
Mm-hmm. No, that's beautiful. And you are so right on. In November is when I really had received some guidance to, again, work on my right brain. And also part of it was to not be an overthinker drive. So it kind of sounds similar to what you're saying. And, what's really crazy, and it's something I'll end up writing about more, is I thought it was great that I was an overthinker. I was like, this is great. Because I do take action and I still am really proud of that I do get things accomplished. But there is a lot to be said for slowing it down, becoming more internally focused and trying to release a lot of those thoughts. And it took me probably till the end of December. So I seriously worked on it. I seriously always had to remember. And that's the work that the people don't do, is they listen to a podcast like this and then they go on with their day, right? You have to remember, you have to consciously be going, okay, I need to, take some quiet time today. I need to meditate. I need to go outside. And it's really like retraining your brain to remember those things and to have that space. And I would say, again, it was the end of December that things really started opening up. And I started having like all these amazing like revelations. And I started filling like pages and pages and pages in my journals for all my books to come. So I do completely agree with everything you said, but it's important for anyone out there listening to do the work. And if you need help with that type of work, obviously Gila's a coach, I'm a coach. There's lots of coaches out there, like get some help do it, because you might need some, accountability, some reminders, some tools, and coaches like us can really help you move forward on that piece. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I just really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts? And definitely share how everyone can get hold of you and buy your book.
Final thoughts. I would just really, I just want to honor everyone who's listening today, because we are all going through a lot of changes, and we've gone through a lot already. So I know that we're probably our worst critics. And as you said earlier, like, how do we start these things and, get confidence, a part of what you do. And I think it's about just, allowing yourself to do it without the story. I think that's just has been really important to me. And how do they find out about my book? Well, you can definitely get to me, get more information about me at gilanehemia.com/surreal-love is where you can find out more information about my book. And of course, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and some other online booksellers, as well as the paperback will be available quite soon. So you can definitely get the online book today. So if you are interested, definitely take a look and go for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gila. I'm just so excited for you, like over the moon. And I just really appreciate that we like met each other through Laura's class and have connected. And I think that that's just a huge takeaway too for people is, find some way to connect with other people, because, we are all connected energetically, and then you can just make some great like friendships. I mean, we didn't even talk about this. We have so many things to talk about, but I know we're short on time. Gila lives in Israel. So we didn't get there.
I'm originally from New York, so that's why the American accent. But I've been living in Israel for like about 7 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm really glad, Melinda, that we met in Laura's class, and it was really actually towards the end that we became friends, and it's been really amazing. I'm so glad.
Yeah, I am too. So that's my little like final soapbox words of like, get out there, people, and connect. And then you end up meeting some like amazing person that you have so much in common with such a like mind who lives in Israel. And that's like so freaking cool. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.